guys, and welcome to CosmoMuse Tarot and to another Friday reading where you can ask your questions and get some insight and guidance. I am switching a little outside of doing my typical yes, no, maybe to more open-ended questions, kind of seeing how that resonates for a while, because it's something I'm probably a little bit more interested and drawn to doing than the yes, no, which feels just like a little black and white for what I prefer. Anyway, so I'm experimenting a little. This will be my third one in this framework, and it's different from what I did in the first two. All three of them have been different, just kind of playing with it for a little bit to see what people are connecting with. So in this version, bring an open-ended question. So a great way to connect into an open-ended question would be to start its phrasing with a how, why, what. There's probably other ways to do it, but those are three great starters for you. Just looking for insight into something on your mind, a question you have. And in this week's, I am going to be using the Seed and Sickle deck. And I'm just going to be pulling 3 cards from it. Each card will kind of represent something specific. It's a purpose for each of the 3 cards. And I'm just going to straight up be reading from the guidebook for these. There's 2 guidebooks for this deck, one for dawn and one for dusk, based off of if the card comes up upright or in reverse, which I think is beautiful. And I was just sort of reconnecting to some decks I hadn't used in a while, and this was one of those. And I realized, now that I've switched into doing these Friday question insight readings a little differently, it just dawned on me as I was reading through the guidebook and some of the cards that the descriptions in the guidebooks are almost framed as if a question, an open-ended question, had been posed. And I'm like, that's so perfect. So let's play with that. Let's just straight up use the advice that this deck comes with and see how that feels. Okay, so we have 3 piles this week. Pile 1 is this cherry quartz. Pile 2 is moss agate. Pile 3 is Moonstone. So if you need a minute to pause here and really get clear about the question or something on your mind, you can do that and come back to this once you feel really clear about your question and feel into the 3 piles, and whichever one is sort of drawing you in is the one that will have the aligned message for you. Timestamps will be in the descriptions, and I will see you in your readings. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your Friday insight, getting some clarity or advice on a question that you are bringing here, something on your mind. We are just going to pick 3 cards from the Seed and Sickle deck. The first card is sort of the underlying need for your question, at least advice on that. The second card is going to be something connected to an action step you can take based on that initial underlying need. And our third is a message from your subconscious about your question. Okay, let's see what we've got. So the underlying need is mustered in the upright, so the dawn version of this card. So I'm just going to find that really quickly. Okay, so it says You've mastered the broad strokes. Now it's time to really get into the nitty-gritty of mustard's tiny seeds. Stop looking at the bigger picture and focus on the minutiae. Whether it's a problem, a project, a situation, paying attention to the details will pay dividends. There's skill in being able to flesh out the intricacies of a situation, and that is where you'll really flourish right now. And I love that that leads like so perfectly into the next card we will be pulling over, because the next card is like an action step. And so this might help bring focus to in what way you need to just start getting into the details of things. But this is saying that whatever question you've brought here, you may already have like a visionary, big picture kind of conceptual understanding around this, and it's time to kind of just like flesh out the details here, get into some details around whatever this is. So let's see a first kind of action step there. We've got Pimpernel, also in the Dawn version of this card, because it is upright. So this says, the Pimpernel is also known as the shepherd's weather glass, as it can be both tell and time of day and foretell it can both tell the time of day and foretell incoming weather. Its petals always close up at noon and will only open again if it's due to be sunny. If rain is on its way, the flower won't open at all. You find yourself in a position of not being certain which direction to take, but all the signs you need to make the right decision are there. You just need to trust your ability to spot them. So the first action step is trusting your intuition, putting your awareness out of posing a question about your question, about what is the first step, the first thing I can kind of dig into, and then just stay aware. And I think you will notice like synchronicity, signs, things coming at you. And I think that will get you some kind of foothold, some kind of traction on the ground with whatever this question is, something you need to do in a detailed way, or first foothold into something. Okay, so our last card is going to be a message from your subconscious. Oops, and that just flipped around. Foxglove, beautiful, and that's also in the Dawn position, so upright, which makes me feel, because all of your cards are upright, it makes me feel like whatever question you've brought here, even though this card is bringing a message from your subconscious, I think in general you are pretty aware and conscious of what is going on around your question. So that seems to me like a good sign that it is time to start kind of like diving into something here. Okay, but let's see what Foxtail has to tell you from your subconscious. Foxglove. Saint Necton came to his violent end at the hands of 2 cattle thieves who beheaded him when he confronted them. Determined not to die away from his home, he simply picked up his head and walked back to his hut, where he finally lay down and died. Foxglove sprung up from where his blood fell along the way. Others may try to advise you otherwise, but you know the best time and place for the goals that you want to achieve. Rely on yourself for guidance and meet your deadlines on your own terms. And I think this just kind of plugs back into what the first card of Mustard said, is like, I think there's already kind of a knowingness in you around this question, some kind of broad understanding, and it's just like time to trust yourself and dive into it is the overwhelming theme I think that's kind of popping out here. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it resonated. I would love some feedback on if this did connect for you guys as I kind of play around with different ways of doing this weekly Friday reading, if this did resonate and kind of connect for you in terms of what question you brought here. Yeah, so if it did resonate, I always appreciate the likes and shares and subscribes and comments. It's, always brings me a lot of gratitude to, even just feel people coming back again and again to these readings. And yeah, so this is where I'm going to leave you, and I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 2, Moss Agate pile. Let's dive into your Friday insight with certain open-ended questions you have brought here. Great way to start those is with what, how, why, those kinds of phrasings. And as I mentioned in the intro, I am just using one oracle deck this time to bring answers from its guidebook around 3 different categories. So we're going to look at the underlying need, based on that underlying need, a next step, what kind of action can be taken, and then something from your subconscious about what you've asked. So let's get those cards out. So this is the underlying need. Ooh, I feel like this one wanted to come first. And then based on that underlying need, what's one kind of step you can take or action? And then something from your subconscious around this message or this question. I'm actually feeling this one. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at the first one, an underlying need. And you've got Wisteria in reverse. So here's the Wisteria card, but it came out in reverse. So this oracle deck has 2 books, one for dusk and one for dawn, and dusk is representing the reversals. So Wisteria at dusk. Let's see what it says. And this is an underlying need to whatever question you brought here. Wisteria are slow to set out their leaves in spring, waiting until the weather is perfect before jumping to life. Drawing this card is a reminder to trust your instincts and listen to your inner voice before making a decision. There is power in stillness and in waiting. It may feel like others are rushing ahead in their endeavors, but you will know when the time is right for you to act. So this is overall just saying, like, don't feel pressures, especially from the outside world or from inner expectations you have for something around this question to really have traction right now. It's sort of saying, like, you'll know when there's movement, when there's traction, when something's coming into power with this question, you'll know. So in the meantime, like, kind of sit back, take care of yourself, tend to whatever needs to be tended to around this question, and just know that, like, it's maybe just like a timing thing here, and that you might need some patience. But let's look at this next card as that next step advice. What kind of action then comes into play here? And we've got Datura in the upright version, so in dawn. And let's see what this one says. Datura, native to Peru and Ecuador, Datura has been used as an intermediary between humans and the spirit world for centuries. The spirit of Datura manifests as a hunting dog and visits dreams to help locate things that have been lost. You may feel as though the project or goal you are working towards is missing some key element. This card is a reminder to occasionally take a step back and think about what it is that you've lost sight of. It may also mean that what you seek is just around the corner. So again, I mean, this absolutely plugs into that underlying need in terms of a first action step. It's like, take a step back. And it gets a little bit more context here. Is there something missing? Am I not seeing this from the right perspective? Is there a timing thing going on? Do I just need to be patient? But I think that action stuff of just kind of taking a step back and observing will answer what that is for you. If it's something that's missing, or if you're just needing to be patient, whatever that is. But it is saying, in response to what we already kind of knew, it's like, just take a step back for now. Okay, let's look at a message from your subconscious to end this reading. And we've got Holly in the upright, so in the dawn version of this card. And this says, like the lightning forks of a holly branch, you stand at a fork in the road, a decision before you. Which path will lead you where you want to go, and which may lead you to an unexpected destination or lead you astray. You're running out of time to make your choice. But know that once you've chosen your path, there's no turning back. Make sure you've thought this through carefully. So that adds even more context. It's like there's maybe some decision you are needing to make. Something is up to you around this question. And part of that needing to step back, part of needing to see if something's missing or if timing might hold a key, is that, yeah, once you move forward in this question, it's sort of like, that's the road you've taken. There's no going the other way or towards a different solution or a different path or a different whatever makes sense for your question. So it's saying, take a beat with whatever this decision is, if it is a decision for you, or whatever action is required of you. Yeah, because it's kind of, it feels like it's sort of like important that you get clear about the direction and any action you take, because it will be kind of, I don't want to say set in stone, but it'll kind of like set the tone for how this question moves forward. So it's like, I think this is just telling you to be thoughtful, to take a minute, to observe, to take some things in, asking if you're perceiving things the right way, if there's better timing up ahead around the corner, just something, yeah, just something about taking a beat to make sure that like you've thoughtfully thought things through here before you take an action. So I hope that resonates. If so, I always appreciate the things, likes and shares and subscribes and comments. But in general, I'm always just really grateful for all of you that come here and support my channel. Yeah, I just really enjoy doing these. So I'm just glad other people get something out of it. So yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are, and I hope this helped to bring some insight to your question. All right, I will see you guys in future readings. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your Friday Insight with some kind of open-ended question you've brought here to get some insight, clarity, advice around. So as I mentioned in the intro card, I'm just using one oracle deck here, and I'm going to be reading straight from its guidebooks. It has two guidebooks, one for reversals and one for upright, reading the dawn and dusk versions of a plant or flower. And yeah, I just was revisiting the deck, and the way the descriptions were framed just felt like they were already kind of like answering kind of these open-ended type of questions. I thought it'd be fun to play with that. So we are going to pick three cards. This first card is going to be an underlying need around this question. Oops. Got one. The next card is going to be what kind of step you can take or action you can take based on that underlying need of the first card. Ooh, I think that one. And then a last card, we are going to get a message from your subconscious about your question. I'm feeling this card right here. Okay, so let's dive into it, starting with the first card representing some kind of underlying need around your question. So it's in the upright, so the dawn version of the card, and it is Rose. Okay. Okay, the rose belongs to the Lady of Miracles herself, the Virgin Mary. Rosaries even get their name from the rose hip they were originally made from. If you have drawn this card, a miracle of your very own is on its way. Perhaps the creative block is about to lift, or you're about to make major headway on a problem that's been plaguing you. Either way, things are about to change for the better. Make sure that you're ready to take advantage of it and get back on track. So I love this underlying need. It's saying that there isn't really a need from you other than to trust, other than to believe. Something is on its way, something you've already put in the energy here. And that answer, that turn of the wheel, that traction or movement is right around the corner. So it's just like patience, and beyond patience, belief, trust, believe, hold that energy of what it is you want, I would think would help here as well. Yeah, sort of like a block is lifting here. So just believe. That's what the underlying need here is: believe, trust. Okay, so based on that, let's look at what kind of first step or action guidance is being shown to you. So tulip also in the upright position, so in its dawn version. Let's see. Okay, tulips are full of a boundless, unstoppable energy, full of color, creativity, and life. They're not slow or careful like the rest of the plant world. They're all about growing. In the 1600s, tulips caused one of the greatest cases of buying mania in history, with some varieties so sought after that a single bulb could sell for 2,500 florins, the equivalent of $150,000 today. Embrace the shameless, flamboyant vibrance of this flower and don't be afraid to put your stamp on the world. Be yourself, express yourself, make the art you want to make. Now is the time to turn life into what you want it to be. So I feel like the first action step is and I think that there is some patience here, because this did mention like creative blocks, and then this felt like creative flow. So it's like, once you feel that block release and inspiration or something moving in you, inspiring you, don't be afraid to do whatever that inspiration is, to just express and to be you and to do it the way you want to do it, and to trust the creativity flowing through you. Don't try to compare or match or mimic anything. Just like let that creativity flow through you and just see what comes out and just be you. But this is just saying that like you'll feel it when it comes. But I think the first action was already in the first card of like trust and believe. And then once that block feels removed, let that life force move and flow. Don't try to hamper it or change it or question it. Again, there's belief here. Just believe in whatever is flowing through you. Don't do anything that would dampen it or tame it or suppress it. Just let it move. Okay, we are going to look at the last card, which is a message from your subconscious about the question you brought here. And this one is Bramble, again in the upright, which does make me feel like that block is very near to being released. There's like the energy is coming into daylight, into its, that creative vitality time. So I think you should expect that the block that you have been feeling maybe around this question will be released quite soon. Okay, but let's read actual guidebook description here. That was just an extra message I was feeling. So Bramble 44. You can never be too prepared for the next curveball. Even if things seem to be going well right now, take a moment to consider what pitfalls might lie ahead and how things can go wrong. Now, even in the worst case scenario, you'll be ready to catch yourself before you fall. Just like the bramble always protects itself against disaster, so too will you be safe from the worst of the fallout. So this is interesting, and it adds some context of like that saying, expect the best and prepare for the worst. And so something from your subconscious is saying like, still hold that faith and trust that something blocking you is lifting, but maybe the thing that's going to get that block moving away is being prepared for the worst, while still holding the highest possible outcome and belief in some kind of miracle or beauty or creativity returning. Maybe for that to turn on and the block to go away is to go to the other end of the spectrum and be more prepared for something going awry. And in that feeling prepared, then things flow. So as you prepare for something like some fallout, some backup plan, some plan B, C, and D here around your question, never let go of the faith that your plan A is what is actually going to happen. But by having these backup plans, that's the thing that gives you like a peace of mind and like allows something to flow more freely out of you. So I hope that all of this insight resonates and is insightful in some way for the question you brought here. And if so, I always appreciate the things, the likes and shares and subscribes, and definitely always grateful for comments. But in general, just grateful for the support of showing up and supporting my channel. I really enjoy doing these readings, so it just makes me happy that other people get something from it as well. So that being said, I hope you have a beautiful day wherever and whenever you are, and I will see you in future readings. All right, see you guys.